Hi guys, so I know you all are used to my acne videos and my skincare regimen videos. However, this video is a bit different. This video is basically going to focus on a disorder. So if you are not interested, just go ahead on and exit the video. So let's just hop straight into the video, guys. So this video is going to focus on when I found out that my son had chromosome 7 duplication syndrome or disorder. So um, to start out, this disorder is not well known, right? So there are not many people around the world who have this disorder or who have even heard of or even know what this disorder is, because I didn't know. I wasn't aware of this disorder. So just to give a little background, my son is now 9. His name is Isaiah. And I noticed when I had him via C-section. So I noticed as I had him and as he grew and as he continued to grow, certain things, just seemed a little off, right? Because I had an older child, and she was on schedule with her walking, her motor skills, and things of that nature. However, I do know that each child develops differently, and you really shouldn't compare your children, right? But just to give it a ballpark figure, it kind of is good to compare them because you know what to expect, kind of moving forward. So I noticed that Isaiah did not walk and in a lot of time, or in a time that I felt was parallel with his age. I noticed that his speaking did not come until much later down the line, until he was about 2. And just other things that I noticed that didn't sit well or right with me. So I would take him constantly to the doctors for them to look at him and for them to, I guess, assess him to see if there, were any issues. So, excuse the truck, guys. So, as I would take him like the first 2 or 3 times, I was told that, oh, it's normal. He's just developing a little slower. Boys typically develop slower than, female children, so that you have nothing to worry about. So, but, as a mom, and for everyone who's a parent, especially a mother, like your instinct, it kicks in. And so that answer was not sitting well with me. So that's why I constantly took him back. And so finally, I believe it was like the 3rd time that I took him back, the doctor I took him to referred us to a specialist, or like a infants and toddlers, right? So their specialty is assessing children and, seeing if they're growing properly, if they're maturing for age, and if, all of those things are aligned. So we went there, and lo and behold, we went there and they told me, oh no, he's just developing a little slower than normal, but that's typical, for boys. Boys tend to develop a little slower than female children. So I'm just like, something isn't setting, well with me. So I take him back about, 4 months to 5 months after the initial meeting at infants and toddlers. And then that's when I was told that, oh, it seems that he may have some type of issue. We're not really sure what. They weren't really sure what was wrong with him, right? So, of course, because they don't know what's wrong, they send us to 1,000 different doctors, and we're seen by 1,000 different people. So we were constantly having tests done. So it came down to him getting blood tests done. So around this time, he was around, I want to say 2 or 2.5 maybe. But I had been taking him since maybe like 1.5, or even a little before then. So we finally got the answers, we finally got someone to really listen to us and, get us some help, right? So we go to these specialists, everyone's running tests. He's having hearing tests done because he still was not speaking properly, I guess, for his age, right? So he was about 2.5, like I said, and he was not forming whole sentences. He wasn't forming at least 2 to 3 words. It just wasn't how it should have been, right? Super delayed, like super delayed. So we finally find out that he has chromosome 7 duplication, right? And the way that he was diagnosed with this disorder is because we had to have blood tests done, right? And so we went to a specialist. I'm so sorry because we see several specialists. We see a lot of different doctors. So we went to genetics, and they were like, well, we're going to test his blood. We're going to see if anything comes back abnormal. So they took the test, and something did come back abnormal. So basically he has a duplication of the chromosome 7, right? And so they were saying that, well, we have to figure out where this came from, if it came from your side of the family or if it came from the dad's side. Now, I'm a single mom of 3, so the dad and I, we really don't communicate at all, right? And that's just for peace purposes and, just to keep everything nice and smooth and flowing a certain way. So, but I did share with him that Isaiah had an issue, right? And so, I told him like, well, they're saying that we need to get tests done, and my blood needed to be tested and his father's blood needed to be tested. So I shared the information with the dad, and he said, okay, well, I'll come down, I'll have my blood drawn, I had the test done or whatever, but he never came, right? So I had my blood drawn, obviously, because I was the one taking it. We were always together. So it was through the process of elimination that they figured, or that they were able to determine that the genetic disorder came from the fraternal side, right? Like the dad, he had it, I didn't have it, right? So I was like, okay, well, I don't have it, so obviously, it's the dad or whatever. So the doctors explained everything to me, and they then began to explain that this duplication that Isaiah has is not a common syndrome, right? So it's more common for a child to have chromosome 7 deletion as opposed to chromosome 7 duplication, right? So I'm just like, well, I have no clue about anything, right? Because the doctors are telling me that they don't really know too much about it because it's not really a well studied syndrome. And I think at the time when we found out, there were like 60 people worldwide who had it. At least that's what I was told at one visit. And so I'm like, well, I have to do research, because now I really don't know. Like, so I'm asking the doctors, like, well, are there any other complications that can come with this disorder? And so they were like, well, as far as we know, there are other complications, and they have a wide range, right? So some of the things that they named were anxiety, right? Heart problems, kidney problems, speech disorder, hearing disorder, attention deficit, ADHD, and a list of other things, right, that were associated with this disorder. Children who have this disorder are normally super friendly, extra friendly, right? They don't really sense danger. So they talk to strangers. I mean, a lot of kids do that, but even if you tell them and explain to them that you shouldn't talk to strangers and like stranger danger, they're overly friendly. They're overly emotional. They are very anxious, and their motor skills develop much later, from infancy to, as they grow. So he was only 2.5 at the time, but I did notice that his motor skills weren't really where they should have been for his age. He was really, really, really delayed in walking and feeding himself and in forming sentences. And so I was seeing some of the traits. So then we were put on a strict schedule where we had to go, I swear, it felt like I was always at the doctor's. Now, I have 2 other children, so it was just like hectic, right? Just constantly going. And so later, Isaiah was diagnosed with separation anxiety, where like he would go insane if he and I weren't together. Like a piercing scream, like a scream where you would think someone was like hurting him. Like, and it was later diagnosed that he had separation anxiety. He was, I don't know, maybe about 3 when he was diagnosed with that. So, you know, he was studied, I guess, or closely monitored. So to just track the progression or how he progressed, right? Because compared to other 3-year-olds, you know, he was not on track. He was far behind. Fast forward now, he is 9. He turned 9 September the 2nd. And we still have a lot of assessments that we have to do. So we've been to the cardiologist. He's had CAT scans of his brain because that's also affected or can be affected from this duplication that he has. He's had tests on his kidneys. I mentioned the cardiologist. Speech therapy is like a must, right? Because when he speaks, he does not pronounce the beginning of a word, nor does he pronounce the ending of the word. So we were doing speech therapy 3 to 4 times a week. And so initially, when I was going to put him, like, when it was time for him to start school and things of that nature, I went to our zone school, right? The school that was closest to us. Although I had plans to send my children to a private, a Catholic school. So, but the zone school that was closest to us was not a Catholic school. So we went around to the corner, although that was not my plan. I was not going to send him to like a public school. We went there, and I'm not going to name the school, obviously, but I was talking with like the administration and those certain teachers, and I was told that my son would have to be in special education. And so I know that when children are placed in special ed, the school receives money for those children. However, I did not agree that my son needed to be in special ed. I have my own outlook on that. I have my own opinion about special ed and putting Black boys in special ed. So that was not an option. However, while at that school, we did receive an IEP, right? Although he did not officially attend the school, we went for the meetings and just to basically get a blueprint of what it would be like if he did have to attend that school. And during the several meetings that we did go to, because there, obviously were more than one, an IEP was created. And basically, it's just an individualized plan for your child and their specific needs, right? Especially if they have specific challenges or specific delays or specific issues that need to be considered when being placed in a school environment. So I had the IEP. The IEP is really important if you do decide to take your children or allow your children to go to public school, and just in general to have for your records, right? But you should always go and get your child re-evaluated so that your IEP can be updated. So obviously we did not go to the public school. I sent my child to Catholic school where his older sister attends, and all 3 of my children attend or attended then. But so Catholic schools don't honor IEPs, right? They have a Catholic like an accommodation plan for schools, a Catholic school accommodation plan, basically. I don't know if that's the correct title, but it's basically an accommodation plan where they allow your child to get the services that they need. So basically, my son was in Catholic school, and any accommodations that he needed, they will honor. But it's the discretion of like the principal, right? So we have a thick booklet of paperwork and basically like a paper trail of everything that Isaiah and I have been going through for the past 7 years. So in the book that we have, because I keep the records in a big thick book, it was recommended that he has frequent breaks, that he's able to get up and move around, that he has one-on-one time, that he has speech therapy, that he has math intervention, that he has speech intervention, and just a plethora of things that are specific to his needs because of the disorder or the syndrome that he has. So I took that paperwork with me to the school when I was registering him, and I even emailed the recommendations from our hospital, our doctor, to his teacher. Each year I would email it to the teachers, and they were really, really great with accommodating him. Okay, so the main thing is this. The school was great, but, and I'm not gonna say, and there's nothing towards the school, I'm just saying, but this journey in and of itself has been so hard, because I knew nothing about chromosome 7 duplication. And although I research and we go to all of our appointments, and I'm in Facebook groups with other parents who have children who have this same syndrome, it's still very hard. It's very taxing, because basically we're learning as we're going, because there is not a lot of information out there regarding this particular syndrome. So at the beginning of this month, which is November, he had another assessment, right? And the assessment always lasts for about 2 hours. Now, before COVID, the assessment would be in person, where we would go to the hospital and a neurologist and a few other specialists would examine him. And the way he would be examined would be by a long list of questions. Basically, he would just be tested on things that he should know for his age. As I shared with you all previously, Isaiah is 9. So the test was 2 hours, and Isaiah completed the test. However, he completed the test and he didn't do too well, right? So he got scores of a 6 to 7 year old, although he's 9. So from this duplication, the symptoms of it for Isaiah specifically is he's now been diagnosed with ADHD, anxiety, still separation disorder. He has a huge speech problem, articulation of speech, retention of information, and he's slightly deaf in one of his ears, his left ear, I believe. That's just him. Now, for other children who have this duplication, the symptoms can range from heart issues, kidney issues, brain issues, as I stated previously. So it's just up and down. There is just a huge range, right? And the purpose or the premise of this video is basically to just share awareness and to ask and plead with you all, if anyone has any information on chromosome 7 duplication syndrome, please drop a comment below, send me a message. Any information that you may have regarding this would be greatly appreciated, because as I stated, when I did first find out about this, there were only 60 people worldwide who had this duplication. And this duplication is not a well-known issue, right? So basically, we're just seeing, people just see like the symptoms, right? Like, meaning, you know, like if you have a cold and your nose is running, or like you have a fever, that's not the actual cold, that's just the symptoms from the cold. So what Isaiah is displaying with his speech impediment and the articulation of speech and the retention of information, they're just symptoms from the actual genetic disorder. I just want to raise awareness about this because it has been trying. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I still don't know everything regarding this syndrome. We're learning every single day. He is now being homeschooled because I know for a fact that he needs individualized plans, individualized attention, and things that are specific to his needs, in addition to, you know, school aged or normal school activity and work. But he needs extra support, extra help. And I know that in a school setting with one teacher and a teacher's aide with other students, he is not able to receive that. I just want to ensure that I'm preparing him the best that I can and the best that I know how, for the world and for reality. So his neurologist and we speak. She is very, very good. Like if I text her, because like if I don't know something, I'm going to ask 1,009 questions. I'm a history major, so that's what we do. We research. I'm studying for law school, so it's like research is like a huge thing for me. So I will ask 1,009 questions. I will research something and then ask her, her opinion on it. And she's flat out told me like, well, I'm still learning about this myself. So I'm desperate. So that means if anyone, like I said before, if you have any information, if you've heard of this duplication, if you know anything about it, please send me information, leave a comment, anything. And if you think that something is wrong with your child, and if you think that something isn't how it should be, speak up and advocate for your child. No matter how many times someone tells you, no, it's okay, it's normal. You know your child best. I can't stress that enough. Just because they have the white coat, you carried that baby for 9 months. You know when something isn't right. Like you feel it in your gut. God has given us intuition. You should never ignore it. That's what I had to do. It took us a year and some change to get the right answers, but we finally got them. And I just want to encourage you, if you have to constantly go back, if you have to constantly beat down their door, do that. Just advocate for your child. You are your child's biggest advocate. Like they're depending on you. And just always remember that you would not be tasked with this if you couldn't handle it. So if you think that something is wrong, get and seek help. So right now I'm dealing with all the things. I don't believe in medication. I will not put my child on medication. They are trying to get me to put my child on medication for his attention deficit, his hyperactivity, but I'm not doing that. So I had to think of creative ways to keep him engaged, right? Which is another contributing factor as into why I chose to homeschool him. So the thing is, you have to work around your child. And it's been hell. It's been hard, right? It's been very trying. But just keep going. And if you have any information, please leave it down below. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. I cover a wide range of things from motherhood, self-love, acne, just life in general. So please subscribe. It would help me out substantially. Okay? Guys, have a great day. See you.